All right, everybody. Welcome back to Cocodona Aravaipa After Dark. I'm Andy Jones-Wilkins along with Chris Warden. We are awaiting possibly very soon another 125 finisher into the gate. It is, I want to find it. Give me the name again, Chris.
That would be Megan.
Megan Healy?
Yeah.
Megan Healy. We're expecting any time. So as we're starting into this interview, be warned that we might break off. That was so much fun talking to Kevin. Kevin will be back with us tomorrow. Also great to talk to Finn, as always. And we'll be seeing a lot of Finn later on this summer as he's traveling around to all the 100-milers. But we're bringing in our next guest, Chris.
Absolutely. This is a personal friend of ours and a friend of the running community here, Lisa Pozzoni. Lisa, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much.
Lisa, you have been out on the course here. We're going to get a finish line shot here up and rolling, and so we can catch these finishers as they complete their journey. But Lisa, you have been out on the course. Describe what you've been doing and where you've been at.
Yes. Well, today I was at Fort Tuthill from 11 to 7. So I was volunteering at the aid station there with a couple of the other True Tribe ladies. And actually a couple years ago, if we're talking about being on the actual course, I got to pace Andre Lee. That was the first year, actually. I think it was the first year. I paced Andre from Fort Tuthill to Walnut Canyon. So I've been on the course once.
Pacing Andre.
Right.
That long.
Yes.
How'd that go?
It went well. He was tired.
Yeah.
He was tired. He had no pacers his first year. And I was volunteering at the finish line. And Patty Curry said, we need to get him some pacers. And I was training for Trans Rockies. I'm like, I could do 17 miles. We hiked a lot of it because,
Well, that's what you do in a 250.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Of course, Lisa, you are also involved in the running community in another way as well. Can you describe what you are and what your company does?
Yes, thank you. I own the Running University, and I am a running and walking coach. And let me say walking because as we do ultras, you need to walk. Chi walking and chi running is what I teach. But my specialty is really training. I'm a back of the packer. I like to train back of the packers. I'm here for everybody who, as long as you can meet the cutoff, let's get out there and have some fun. So I help women over 50 typically is really my niche. But I love helping women celebrate finish lines they never thought possible. I've got 60-year-olds that have done their first ultra. They never thought they could.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually one of the things that's cool about your program is that I kind of see it and follow it every year. I don't go to your workouts or practices.
You can't. You're not a woman.
You're not allowed,
well,
Chris.
There's that, but it tends to culminate in the...
You didn't get the memo.
Oh, I got the memo. But it culminates in the Crown King Scramble every year, which is not an easy 50K. So, describe why you decided that training, women in their 50s and 60s, a good way to do that would be to throw them into a really hard 50K.
Well, not all of them pick that 50K. That is how we end the ultra season. Frenzy tends to be our favorite because there's ample time for the cutoffs. But Crown King, I have done it. This was my 6th year, I think. I just love Crown King. So if I can find somebody who's crazy enough to want to climb a mountain that long. But yeah, this year was tough. I came in with like 7 seconds on the clock this year. My runners came in before me, which happens a lot. But
Hey, Chris, I want to jump in for a second because
Sure.
I think this is timely with our conversation with Lisa. We haven't had an absolute cutoff in the race since 12:15 p.m. at Sedona.
Yeah.
But in 20 minutes, a little more than 20 minutes, at 9:30 Arizona time, runners have to be out of the aid station at Schnebley Hill. Mile 179.5. They got to be out of there in 20 minutes. We're not there. It's nighttime right now. We don't have boots on the ground there. But I think Lisa would agree, can almost guarantee you that in that location right now, there's a fair degree of stress. There's a lot of looking at watches, looking at trackers on the computer, on the phone, talking to volunteers, nervously looking for a headlamp down the trail. Have you had that feeling before? Being of one of those waiting for a runner to come in?
Waiting for people to come in. Yes, I've been there. Usually it's me, though. Like, truly. Usually I'm the one that they're waiting for, and is she going to make it? I don't, I actually had somebody ask me if I do it on purpose. I'm like, no, I don't do it on purpose. But my first 50 miler at Antelope Canyon, I came in with 14 seconds on the clock. And Crown King, I came in with 7 seconds. I actually thought I had more time, and then I forgot how hard those 2 miles are after that aid station. And I was like, oh, I better book it.
Yeah, no, but you know what you do through that, I mean, whether it was intentional or not, is that you inspire the clients that you coach to say, hey, you know what, whether it be 40 minutes under the cutoff or 7 seconds under the cutoff, you're getting it done. As we see our next finisher in Sedona Canyon's 125.
Woo! All right.
Very good. Coming under the wire.
It is Megan Healy.
Nice.
Looks like is that George Cyrus right there?
It's a 38-hour finish, and that's George Cyrus in the 250. Is that right?
Or was that the other way around? But congratulations to both of them, Megan Healy and George Cyrus, both finishing their respective races and looking pretty good doing it.
George Cyrus is definitely a 250er.
Yeah, it looks like that was George that came in second, finishing the Cocodona 250.
All right. So, folks, while we're chatting with Lisa, please, if you're following a runner along who's still en route to Schnebley Hill, throw their name in the chat, or perhaps you have a runner who's just rolled out of Schnebley Hill and they're likely to be fighting the cutoffs at the next several aid stations at Munns Park and Fort Tut Hill and maybe even Walnut Canyon. Throw their name in the chat so we can give them a little shout out.
Yeah, let's give them some love.
Indeed.
Lisa, you've coached many runners over the years. Do you have anybody running the races this week, and what is their experience level in relation to what they're doing?
Awesome. Thanks for asking. I have 2 runners doing Eldon tomorrow, and I have to say I'm very grateful that the races give us the cutoff time that we could do it. So I have 2 people doing Eldon. I had my first person do Eldon last year, so when she did Eldon, she said, this is doable, you guys can do it. We actually had more people that were signed up, but life happens, and so we don't have anybody else. But I've got people talking about the 125. This is obviously also on my bucket list. This is the second time I say it out loud.
Oh, very good.
It's recorded.
Very good. Let's get a watermark on that. The timestamp.
I was actually going to do Eldon this year, Sedona Canyons next year, and then Cocodona, but life's happening, so I'm taking a little
slower.
A little slower.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would remember this conversation, Lisa, but you and I had a chat a couple of years ago, I think, during one of our Aravaipa Group Trail Run socials. And one of the things that we talked about was the fact that, when you talk about your philosophies regarding running and back of the packers and where you stand as far as your, own personal capabilities, we were like, yeah, having 100 might be a tough one, but Cocodona, based on the time splits and how it's structured, might actually fit your skill set a little bit better, simply because you pride yourself on your extremely strong walking and hiking abilities. And that was actually something. Sedona Canyons actually has the wide berth. I have no doubt that you would be able to finish that, well under the cutoff. But, how likely would it be potentially for you to take a stab at the big one here?
I think it's pretty likely. I definitely, I've only done 100 miler. That was at Across the Years, and I was just testing the waters. I'm a point-to-point person, though. So,
for those that aren't familiar, Across the Years is a looped race here in Arizona. So it's a 1 mile loop
on, mostly gravelly. Yep. And it was a great experience. I love Across the Years. It has but get me out on the trail for hours and let me just hike and enjoy the time. So yeah, it's definitely, I don't know when, maybe 2-3 years. I don't know.
Well, you always go to Across the Years and basically have stamped your mark on the New Year's Eve festivities, because I've been spending New Year's Eve with you now for like the past 7 years.
I know, it's true.
Because your running university actually, your runners, your friends, your alumni of your program actually take over the aid station there after midnight at the Across the Years on New Year's Eve.
Yep. Yeah, we actually take over the whole 24-hour shift.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And we're also going to have one at Javelina this year, too. We're going to be, I think, at Rattlesnake, maybe? I'm not sure, but we're going to have...
Want to interrupt for a second. Let's send positive Cocodona, Aravaipa, Mountain Outpost vibes, everybody, to Lisa Allen, 67-year-old Lisa Allen from our sources she just made the cutoff all the way back at Jerome. She just made the cutoff at Sedona. She's now in range to make the cutoff at Schnebly Hill. It's 67-year-old Lisa Allen. Let's just, while we're chatting with Lisa Pozzoni, we've got a couple of Lisas. Let's push. What we understand is it's about a half mile. She's got about a half mile out from Schnebly Hill. I just got stressed.
Absolutely. Well, and that's one of the things, people ask about our coverage of the front and the back of the packs. And I think that it looks like we have a runner crossing the finish line here, actually.
We do.
I think that's a Sedona Canyons runner, or we'll verify an identity on that. But, one of the things that we try and do and pride ourselves upon, that was, looked like it might have been Dave Buist, perhaps?
In the 125?
I think so. Let me verify, because we had George Cyrus come through, Megan Healy come through.
Dave Buist would probably be next. Yeah. Congratulations, Dave.
But actually, we've got our next, I believe
another
that's a
one.
Cocodona
They're coming
finisher.
through hot and heavy.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, that's the swagger of a 250 runner right there, I would believe. I think that would be Nate Lewis.
Nate Lewis. We're going to guess it's Nate Lewis, who might be followed maybe half an hour, 45 minutes from now by Chad Bruce. Nate Lewis, congratulations.
So, one of the things we try and do is, during the front, 40 to 60 hours of the race, we typically focus on the front of the pack. But one of the things that we end up doing as we cover the entire field from front to back is that as you're seeing now, it's Thursday and we're going until Saturday, nonstop 24/7, that, we've got a lot of stories to tell. And those involve runners who are not the elites, not the front runners. These are the grinders in the back of the packers who need every bit of that 125 hours to finish their Cocodona adventure.
Yeah. And I always say it's two different kinds of hard, right? Like being an elite, like I can't even wrap my head around how fast they're able. Like I'm always like at least double the amount of time, if not longer. But it's also so hard to be out there double the amount of time, on your feet and mentally. So like there's so much respect for both packs, middle of the pack too.
Yeah.
We're talking about the extreme. So yeah. Yeah, and I love it. Like I do Trans Rockies, and I get to actually lead the back of the Packers. We start an hour early. It's a new gig that I have now, which is awesome. Like they literally created it for the back of the Packers.
Nice.
So thank you, races that honor those of us that are just a wee bit slower and like to take the pictures and chill out and take 10 minutes to hopefully get there half a mile.
Well, when you put on races in such gorgeous areas, does everybody really have to rush through, or can they stop and enjoy the adventure?
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of a race like Sedona Canyons in particular. I think that's the sweet spot, because the Cocodona cutoffs can become a little bit aggressive to some slower back of the pack runners. Eldon Crest, I think you've got plenty of time. Yes. I mean, you as long as you keep moving forward, you will finish Eldon Crest.
Yes.
But Sedona Canyons as well. It's a very approachable trail 100 because you have, 75 hours to finish the race. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're dedicated and you come in with, at least a decent foundation of fitness, I think you can get it done. Have you ever coached any runners in either of the longer distances here? I
have not. I was going to have somebody doing the 125 this year, and then again, life happened. So she's deferring right now. So, but, I have people talking like every year. It gets bigger because of, since they added Eldon and Sedona Canyons, I think this is going to help some of my people. I always say, just get a little bit out of your comfort zone. So, 50K has been most where I've trained people coming in, but now we've got people going, what's the next thing to do?
Sure.
Right?
Lisa, for those that are potentially interested in the services and what you provide, kind of as I spill all over myself.
Ooh.
It's all right.
Provide a kind of a bird's eye view of number one, what your coaching services are, and number two, if somebody's interested in what you provide, how they can contact you.
Sure, thank you. So the Running University, you can find me. My website is therunninganiversity.com. I also have a YouTube channel, The Running University. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. But basically what I do, and again, it is women only. I train women only. That's my thing. And you don't have to be 50. Most of my ladies are 50 plus. And I have my true tribe, right? So everybody, people that know me, they see us in purple. We're out and about, the true tribe, true meaning the Running University. So it's a community, and I have different tiers, but I train people for races. They're ladies training programs, and basically they get technique. I teach chi running and chi walking, which are huge game changers to me, especially as we get older, like learning to move in a way that you have less impact on your body when especially you're doing these long miles. So I like to make sure that they're getting that information in their training. And I do group coaching. I don't do any individual coaching. Okay. Community is my jam. I love community. Again, our VIPA, Trail Sisters. I'm a Trail Sister leader. And so I will coach people in a group. So they have their plans, and then we have group coaching calls together. And I love that because I'm an expert, but I don't know everything. Mm-hmm. And then, people will ask a question, and then I'll give my answer, and then 3 or 4 other people might have another good answer. So
what's a typical group size? I mean, it's kind of like, I think about like classroom teaching and classroom size. To you, what's a large enough group to have that sort of good community vibe, but a small enough group where in the context of a group call, everybody can be heard there. You can have a good give and take. You can get that kind of camaraderie going.
Yeah. That's a good question, because there is a good number. And I say usually it's between, 10 to me is a good number. Okay. So I've had 5, and 5 works. But when you have a little bit more people, you get a little bit more engagement. So, they get on call. Sometimes we have 5, sometimes we have 10. But, if it gets, 15 maybe at the most.
Okay.
I don't like to have too many.
10 would be a sweet spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Because you can't have too many people.
Yeah.
Describe what one of your coaching clients would, experience as far as like, how do you mentioned that you do it on a community style basis, group basis. What does that entail?
Yeah, thanks. So basically, I do my plans on Google Calendar. So they will get a Google Calendar that has links back into our community, which is on Mighty Networks. It's a platform. And then they have videos to watch, and they'll click on the link, and it'll tell them, whatever mileage they need to do that day. I have strength training videos, and they just click on them, and they go do the videos. And then we do group coaching calls twice a month. And we also do a goal setting call at the end of the month to set goals for the following month. So there's a lot of opportunities for connecting. They also can schedule one-on-ones with me on Zoom. So I don't do one-on-one individual training, but like when somebody needs to talk to me about, I want to do this race, or they just need to, ask me advice, and then I do one-on-ones with them for a more private, conversation. So, yeah.
That's great. And typically do you have members of the university that are they're with you for like years? I mean, do you have some folks that it's sort of how sometimes you get these book clubs, and it's like, oh yeah, we started a book club back when we were 30, and now we're 70, and
I see it happening that way though.
Yeah.
Truly. So at one point, I decided to offer a lifetime membership. So I had several people that took me up on the lifetime membership. So I have some people that I'm like, you guys are stuck with me for life. Jan Rice. Jan Rice is one of
Jan
them.
Rice.
She was the one who actually
Which means you're also stuck with Andre for life. Right?
Exactly. I'm good with that. I'm so good with that.
Jan, we love you dearly.
Yes, we do. Yeah, so I do. I've had people that have been with me for a while. And, I have some people that have 2 coaches. So I have some people that maybe use a coach. I don't do performance. Like, I'm not going to be giving you, like, look at your heart rate.
You're not doing the metrics, and your tempo workout was 10% faster.
Yeah,
that's not really your jam.
That's not really what we do. Like, I want them to be trained, so I want them to get the mileage. I want them to be in good form, but I'm not really worried about, like, so I don't give those type of performance, measures. I need to make sure that they can do the distance, right? Now I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Lifetime member.
Lifetime
member. Oh, that you don't necessarily do like the training plan stuff, but you were getting it. You must do the other thing.
Yes, right. They do get training plans. I don't know where the heck I was going with that. I totally lost my train of thought with the training plan. But I do, again, I teach technique, and we do just a lot of community stuff. So we'll do, and even online. So I'll have people say like, oh, well, I don't live there. I actually just had somebody join from Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, actually met her. She did Whiskey Basin. So she was out here. We've been Facebook friends forever, which is the great thing about online, right? Martina. I don't know if she's watched it or not, but yeah, she came out here. We met at Running for Brews because we've been Facebook friends forever, and she's like, I want to meet you. And then I'm like, well, you should come check out the tribe.
Love it.
Of course, you just brought something else up that I want to touch upon. You are, I guess, you're in charge, or you're, basically one of the founders of the Arizona chapter of Running for Brews. Talk about that group and what that involves.
Yeah, thanks. So again, I love community. I'm all about community. And so May 14th, Tuesday, is going to be our 11-year anniversary. So I was approached by Running for Brews, and they're national. And they asked me to start up a Running for Brews 11
Real
years
quick.
ago. Yes.
BREWS
Yes.
or BRUISE?
No, you should have to say bruise. Yes, bruise.
You might get bruises,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's BREWS.
BREWS.
Okay.
Or sometimes it'll be Bruce will come out if I'm
Bruce?
chatting.
All right,
Bruce
yeah.
will come out to Bruce.
A bunch of Bruce Springsteen fans.
So, yes, and it's all about, we go on a 5K run. So right now we meet at 100 Mile Brewing Company at 6:15 on Tuesdays, and we do a 5K. And we actually I added a hike because, again, I like to get people out. Even if they're going to hike, you got to start somewhere, right? So let's get you hiking. And so we do that. Every other Tuesday is the hiking and the trail run. Actually, Holly from Soul Sports leads the trail run, and Soul Sports joins us on the opposing Tuesdays. But yeah, so they just approached me, and we do this. It's been great. We have a little solid group that comes every Tuesday, and we run a 5K, and then we drink beer. At least one beer. It's on a school night. No.
Well, of course, you've been a part of across the years for many years, and you're here volunteering at Cocodona. Both of those are, let's be honest, Aravaipa running events. Can you describe your relationship and the Running University's relationship with Aravaipa running over the years?
Yeah, thank you. Aravaipa has the most special place in my heart, I have to say. And I just did my 100th Aravaipa race at Javelina 100. I was going to do the 100-miler, and then I decided the 100K.
I think you passed me at this point now, because I was at 105, and I've kind of stalled out.
I kind of slowed down a little bit too right now. We might be even, because I want to say I've only maybe done 2 or 3 more since Javelina.
Could be, because that puts us like for scale there. If you've done 100 Aravaipa events, 100 Aravaipa finishes, there's probably less than, I would say, probably 6 or 7 people that have actually reached that level of obsession.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you get 100, do you have to volunteer more?
No,
because you've done so many races.
You should get jackets or something.
Or you get a jacket.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know.
For the next race you sign up for.
No, you get a thank you from Noah for keeping him employed.
Yeah.
but I remember when I went to one of my first Wednesday Aravaipa runs, like the group runs on Wednesday. I don't remember what year it was, but Jamil was leading it, and I think Nick was there too.
So it was at least 8 years ago.
At least. And there were like maybe 10 people. Like I remember it being, going now is awesome just to see how much it's grown.
Oh yeah.
But I just started with Aravaipa. My first trail race was Pass Mountain in 2011. And that was my very first race. And I think Aravaipa puts on amazing races. Again, I love the fact that they have plenty of time for back of the packers. Not all of them. And I always tell people, if you can't meet the cutoff, then you shouldn't, don't consider that race. But, and that's how I bring ladies. I have so many women who had never done a trail race. And I just convinced them to do a trail race. Because, I don't know, road's okay, but...
Looks like we've got a finisher here. We'll see if we can get eyes on that. I'm believing that would be Dave Buist in the Sedona Canyons 125.
Okay.
We'll see if we can get confirmation on that. Looked like Dave was the next individual expected in. Yep, that would be Dave Buist, 492. Congratulations to Dave.
All right, Dave.
Congrats.
Getting it done.
Have we heard from Lisa Allen yet? Did she make it?
No, but
Listen out for her.
But it's 1 minute till the witching hour.
I don't see the chat or anything. So just keep
we'll make sure and touch base. We do have connections into Race Command, and we know people who know people, and we'll see if Aaron at Race Command, or I don't know if Noah might be working for once, and he can tell us. But yeah. Of course he does, because that's a lot easier. No, kidding, folks. I adore Noah, as you saw last night, as we had our bro love session in here on the air. So, but Lisa, I like to have you on here on our live streams to talk about it because you're such an integral part of our community. I mean, people who are watching from around the world might not be familiar with you or your work, but people like Lisa are the reason why our Aravaipa trail running community in Arizona is so prolific and so successful. It's the reason why runners from other places come here, because there are people like you that are going out there and not only doing the work, for instance, like you said, being at Fort Tuthill today, but you have inspired other people to be a part of the community. So, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you in here. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you know what we're going to be doing on Saturday? All my tribe members that are here, we're going to be at that finish line because the golden hour is our favorite hour.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope they have one this year, though, because last year
everyone was so fast.
fast.
You probably want to keep track of the time because it's kind of the golden hour sometimes moves a little bit.
Yes.
Well, last year's final finisher, Elizabeth Russ, is in the race this year.
Oh.
And she is nowhere near the back of the pack here this year. She's moving pretty well. She's about 10 miles ahead of the sweeps at this point. So it's moving pretty good.
Okay.
There are a few people behind her. As we mentioned, Lisa Allen is the name that we're following, trying to get into Schnebly. We've got a few other people that look like they still might be at Schnebly. Tim Crow, perhaps. Jessup Sandoval. But we're going to be following the back of the Packers here as they try and get into and out of Schnebly, because when you're talking about the cutoffs, it's not just getting into the aid station. You've got to get out of it as well.
Yes.
We have our group. We have we're going to get a notification. It might be a little bit delayed, but we've got Race Command. I've let them know we'd like to hear here in the studio. It's sometimes bad news. Sometimes we don't want to hear it, but it's also one of the biggest, most dramatic parts of this whole thing. I mean, as I've said to Chris before, and I think you'd agree on this, Lisa, in many ways, when you get to this time in the race, there's several golden hours.
Yes.
Right? Every cutoff, in a way, has a golden hour.
Yeah.
You imagine there's somebody who has left Schnebly Hill with maybe 15 minutes on the clock, and they know it's 1 a.m. They have to get to Kelly Canyon. Mm-hmm. They've got to cover 11 miles. They have to get to Munns Park. They have to cover 12 miles, 12 hard miles, all at night in the cold. And they have to do it with a very little margin of error. Yeah. They can't miss a turn. They can't take too long of a potty break. They can't dilly-dally very much. If they do take a sit down, they have to get back up. They probably can't sleep. If they're on the clock at this point, they probably can't sleep. And those stories, folks, are out there. They're out there. There's hundreds of them. Yes. Up and down this course.
Looks like we've got another finisher coming into the chute. I'm believing this would be Chelsea Miller, perhaps?
A 125er?
Yep, Sedona Canyon's 125. Chelsea Miller, I believe, right there, coming into the finisher chute. We'll get confirmation on that. But congratulations to the most recent finisher. Yeah, we're going to be following very closely to find out if Lisa Allen has made the cutoff, and hopefully we'll be able to continue her journey. One of the things about the race this year is that it seems like the really tough section for the runners was around mile 97 Fain Ranch, basically, up through mile 125 or so. It seemed like that was where a lot of runners were being snapped off between Fain Ranch and Jerome this year. I felt like in years past it had been a little bit earlier, perhaps around Whiskey Row. But I think
probably the cool temps meant that the Fain Ranch to Jerome section was where people were getting the sleepies. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of downhill, but a lot of technical downhill. And so I think that the attrition spot was just a little bit later. Good news was not nearly as many drops at Crown King. I was so disheartened last year, and it was nobody's fault, but in such hot conditions last year, there were so many 6. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there were 6 drops at Crown King, didn't make the cut. And I thought, wow, these people invested time to be here for a week, money, training, and they didn't even make it to the first night.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that didn't happen. I mean, if you do get if indeed Lisa gets cut off at Schnebly or someone else gets cut off at Munns, they've made it 179 miles through this beautiful territory of Arizona. So they're all winners in that case. Or as Aaron M says, all badasses, all of them.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Well said.
What do you think of what you've seen so far this week, Lisa?
It's interesting. So today when we were at Fort Tuthill, one of the things that came up was Micah, right? Like, because last time I had checked, I was following, and then it was like, and then I was like, oh no, what happened? And then find out that she came back after that crazy accident she had or falling, right? And she placed third on the podium. Again, incredible from somebody who's at back of the packer. I mean, she was so far ahead that she could go do all of that and still place third, which is incredible. And, I'm a big Jeff Browning fan too. So, and unfortunately, I don't know how it was working. Like I was actually walking to Firestone to get my car because I had to get it before it closed. And it was like literally when they were at the top of Eldon. So I was like, that was before. And then I'm leaving and I'm trying to watch it and then I missed it. I missed the end. I was kind of bummed.
We had a nice interview here with Jeff. He was gracious enough to come in earlier this afternoon. He just really, and it happened earlier than I think many of us thought, but on the run in to the bottom of Eldon. Mm-hmm. But even before that, he knows his body very well.
Yeah.
And his breathing was becoming more and more labored, more and more tight. And he just knew, his oxygen saturation was going down. Mm. So the Eldon climb just crushed him. And he was the first to say that. And by the time he got to the bottom of Eldon, he was sort of like, I'm just going to have to walk it in. Wow. If Harry catches me, so be it. Harry did catch him. Yeah. They both told the story of Jeff coming to this one point and just there was a log on the right side of the trail that was his perfect sitting height. He just sat down on it, and Harry came up, and they had a nice exchange. But fortunately for Jeff, he's such a pro. He looked at his watch. He knew where Arlen was, and he was like, "I can just walk it in." And he called his wife. He told her she didn't have to rush to the finish.
Don't worry.
So it was, and the Mika story, my goodness. I mean, I've never seen that happen in a race, but it's a 250-mile race, and literally anything can happen.
Just incredible. And Callie's the other person. I don't know where she's at. I'm sure she's.
She is currently, and believe it or not, of course you believe it, Callie Vinson is one of the most requested runners to track here at the Cocodona 250. Looks like Callie is just short of the 200-mile mark, so she's moving really well.
Awesome. Go Callie.
This has definitely gone far better for her than her previous attempt here at Cocodona, and it shows that she's come back here with a vengeance and definitely refocused her efforts, and it's been great to see. I mean, everything that I've seen as far as what she's posted, shots that we've caught her on screen, looking fantastic.
Yeah, she looks great. And I just love the same thing with her attitude. She was actually a guest speaker in the tribe. So I usually have guest speakers, women who are inspirational, body positive, right? Like she talks about all of that. And, several of us helped her with her FKT when she did her FKT and she was looking for people. Again, we're always trying to find ways to, support other runners. But yeah, it's great to say. She always looks great. Like she's just positive attitude. So
I think the key indicator for Callie was she rested. She ate and regrouped at Sedona, really nailed that section, which is that's like that Kasner climb takes a lot out of people. It was full daytime, not hot, but full daytime. The drone got her at that aid station with all the blue water jugs, and she just filled her bottles and kept going, and that was a really good indicator. I think she's fine now, as you've said. Make it to Munns Park, make it to Kelly Canyon. They're probably going to finish with enough time on the clock. She's got plenty of time on the clock. So that will be a triumphant run through Flagstaff for Callie for sure.
I still am firmly of the belief that if you can make it to Sedona, you can finish this race. I mean, the finisher rate, once you get to that point at mile 162, is sky high. Obviously, right now, we've got a battle at the back of the pack right now, which is past that point, but it tends to be pretty pretty successful for those who can actually get to
the cutoffs get
Sedona.
more generous.
Yes.
You've got a sleep plan by now. I have to believe, I've never done one of these, disclaimer, but I have to believe there's a psychological boost to knowing you have less than 100 miles to go.
Yeah, I would think.
You're in double digits.
Yes.
And it's nothing like single digits,
Right.
but you're in double digits. Well, Lisa, so are you going to be crewing tomorrow for some of your Eldon runners?
It's hard.
There's not really many
There's
crew.
not really much
Yeah.
that we can do.
Yeah.
So the idea is we're going to be at the start line.
You'll go
for
to the
sure.
start,
We're going to go
get
to
them
the
all-
start line, and then we'll be at the finish line. I told them make sure that they text me an hour ahead of time so we could make sure we get to the finish line for them on time. So I'm pretty excited. It'll be
And
fun
then
to
it
do.
sounds like the tribe will be out in force for the golden hour.
Yes, yeah, we absolutely, whoever's still here, I think, but most of us are still going to be here. So that was the original plan. Like, we'd love to do that at every race. And when we are at the races, we're there doing that because that's mostly
And if folks are interested, they just look for the purple shirts.
Look for the purple shirts. Look for the purple
It's a
shirt.
telltale sign at all the Wednesday night runs.
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
At the Tempe Wednesday night runs.
Did I
There's
tell you that Jubilee one year at Whiskey Basin turned the timing light purple because there were so many of us there. It was the COVID year, the year that it's always really crazy windy, but I think it was the year that it was in October.
Okay.
When they had to switch the timing.
Yeah.
Like she changed it to purple. I was like,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's also
So
a classic
cool. Yeah.
Jubilee move.
she is.
She's coming in tonight.
Yeah,
Is
she's gonna
she?
gonna come chat with us.
Oh, cool.
She'll bring
Is she
some
gonna be
some good vibes to the
Oh
studio.
yeah, I love Jubilee.
Yeah.
She's awesome. And again, you were talking about my relationship with Aravite, but like I so appreciate, like the relationship. The race directors are amazing. And again, talking about getting my people out there. Like we've done Black Canyon training runs, and
We've
we're
got
always,
another finisher.
Sorry, Lisa.
No,
Sorry.
no. That's way more important.
We'll just get some info.
Was that?
Hugging like a 250er.
Yeah, that looked like it might be Jason Hefner.
Jason
there.
Hefner.
Okay, yeah, because his GPS hadn't gone off in a while.
We're guessing Jason Hefner. Congratulations, Jason. Bib number 29. Cocodona 250 finisher. 88 hours and 31 minutes.
Well, Lisa, I want to, like I said, I love having you here in the studio to chat with us, and thanks for joining us. Have fun out there on the course tomorrow, seeing off your runners and being a part of their journey. Can't wait to see you out there on the course and at Heritage Square, cheering those final runners in. Once again, for those people who are interested in the Running University and the coaching and services you provide, how do they go about looking you up?
You can find me. The Running University is my website. Lisa at the Running University is my email address, but you can get me on YouTube, Facebook, The Running University. Lisa Pozzoni is my name. I go by Coach Lisa. And then on Instagram, I'm True Coach Lisa because my account got hacked a couple years ago. And I changed my name.
Well, Lisa, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I just love being here and sharing the time with you guys. And good luck, everybody who's out there. I hope those back of the Packers made it. Sending you guys all the good vibes.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much. And we're gonna feel that back of the pack. Well, we're still in the middle of the pack right now, but we're gonna feel that back of the pack vibe all the way through that golden hour on Saturday morning.
To that end, what would you think constitutes, quote, back of the pack in a race like Cocodona? 110?
That's a good question.
110 hours?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I was trying to think about in terms of percentages.
Mm-hmm.
I think in modern ultra marathons, often 30% of the people finish in the last 10% of the race, regardless of the distance. So I was just trying to do quick math and I failed at it. But I would say
better than to do math on the air.
I would say if you're still out there, at say 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, that's sort of the transition from the back of the middle of the pack to the back of the pack. And now you're going into your fifth night.
Yeah.
Right? If you're squeezing it, like what are we at? If it's 9:45 right now. If you're at, let's say you're Callie. Callie could be a good example, right? She's on her way to Kelly Canyon. So she's between Munns Park and Kelly Canyon. So she's got 50 or so miles to go. Let's say she takes 24 hours to do those 50. That's the very back of the middle of the pack.
Yep.
She takes 30. She's back in the pack. But I'm just making this stuff up because you asked me.
And regardless, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
You're
regardless.
amazing.
You're amazing
Regardless.
If you get to that picture, if you get to be in this picture as a competitor, then you're a badass in all of our books.
Yes.
Lisa, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
having
so
me.
much,
It was a
Lisa.
blast.
Great to
Thanks.
see you as always.